Negative events of the past can make it hard to live in the present, and troubling memories can make it hard to sleep or get through the day. We always carry our past with us in the way we think, talk, and perceive the world. However, managing this can become draining, hence why there must come a point at which you let go of the past. By taking things step by step and keeping your mind open, you can come to accept your past as part of yourself. You can leave behind the negative habits that hold you back from reaching your full potential in life. Acknowledge the past. An important step is to stop trying to pretend you aren't affected by past events. You can't get over the past until you accept it. Let yourself feel what you feel about the past. Accept you cannot change what happened, only how you view it. You can't revisit the past, but you can change the way you perceive it and handle it from now on. If you don't, your hurt self will carry over this emotional pain into other new experiences and relationships. Writing about the events of your past can help you come to terms with them and make them less intrusive in your day-to-day life. Expressive writing has both mental and physical health benefits. It can help you process your emotions and can also help restore disturbed sleep patterns. It is important to look forward and see what opportunities lie ahead. As Alexander Graham Bell famously stated, when one door closes, another one opens.
Good evening and welcome to tonight's Finding Answers. Well, that's the subject for tonight, living in the past. And as the video said, we can live in the past. You know, we have memories of our past, good and bad. And it's obviously good when we remember the good things that happened to us, right? Childhood memories, you know, the old days of your sweetheart, growing up and how things were when this world was a much different place. But what happens when terrible incidents take place in your life and it's like you are stuck in that zone, you're stuck in that decade, in that period of time, and you can't move on, you can't move forward, though you're living today, but it's like that bad period or that one incident that happened to you has got you where you are today. You're stuck. You're like in a vacuum and you don't know how to get out of that. And maybe today, as you watch this program now, you can't sleep. Your health has deteriorated. Your relationships have been affected, not only with your spouse, but also if you have children. Maybe what happened to you as a child, it's been difficult. And I don't want to go into details about that, but it's having an effect on you and your relationship with your children. I know that my mum had a very bad experience as a young girl, and the way she took care of me and my brother, it was a result. She was very protective over us because she was abused as a young girl. And, you know, she didn't want us leaving the house. I was quite isolated. I was the firstborn, and I was quite isolated. I wasn't allowed to go out so far. I wasn't allowed to venture. I wasn't allowed to go on certain trips because my mum was afraid that what happened to her could happen to me. So that restricted my life to a certain extent because of the fear that my mum had. And I missed out on lots of opportunities as a child. Of course, that wasn't my mum's doing, it wasn't a problem, but because of what she went through, you know, she locked up, there was that fear, and protecting her children, it had an effect on us. You know, we got help when we did, and now I'm not like that anymore. I've learnt that as a result of that, I had to now, come out of my comfort zone. I had to try new things. I had to challenge myself. I had to, come out of my comfort zone. I've learned to do that. So that past that didn't directly affect me, but it did affect me in a sense. If I had children, I wouldn't carry that with me and pass it on to my children. But maybe in your case, you are stuck and it's affecting the relationships with your children. Maybe it's affecting future relations that you have with partners. You're afraid of failing again because you failed once or twice before. What can you do about it? How can you stop living in your past? How can you break out of this cycle and start, challenging yourself to move forward? Well, on tonight's program, we are going to be covering, this issue and helping you through faith, and also tonight's real life story, how you can overcome, move on from your past and live the life that you've always wanted. All right? With me tonight, it's Lisa. Hi, Lisa.
Good evening. How are you?
How are you doing?
I'm very well, thanks.
Living in the past, it can have quite a crippling effect on many people, right?
Yes, indeed. And it's something that, many of us do. A lot of us do seem to look towards the past for information or, towards better times, or even we're affected by a trauma. So a lot of us do turn towards the past. But as we know, life unfolds in the present. And, there are many times when we may be stuck in the past, but when a person does bring up the past, there's often something that they need or want in the present. So when we look to the past, we're actually not happy with our present. We're looking back towards, life was better then, or I could have, found answers to something then that we're not solving at the present moment. Because if we're optimistic, we'd look to the future. We'd make plans and goals and say, I'm really looking forward to this, or I want to achieve this goal, I want this job. But when we look to the past, it's almost searching for answers, or we can't. There's something we're not happy with right now.
Yeah.
But how would you say to deal to someone about, with the past? What would you kind of say?
Well, we have to look to the past. That's the thing. Normally psychologists would say, counselors would say, go back to the past. Try and get to the root of why you are behaving like this, right? And sometimes for some people, it's quite painful going back to their past because they're going to have to dig into that closet and there are going to be some skeletons there that have been hidden. There are issues and things, subjects that they don't want to kind of face again. But that is the whole point of moving forward, which is looking at your past, going back to your past and facing some inner demons. So if you want help tonight, if you, want to make this challenge of going back to your past, not living in your past, because you're living it now. And sometimes we forget certain things. And, there are people who have, Lisa, mental health issues because they try to block out what happened to them in their past. People that suffer with dementia, people that, because of a traumatic incident, a death in the family, a divorce, it could have been an assault of some kind. And it's like they try to block it out. And they are so affected by it that they only remember things as a child. Yes. Right? Can you agree with that?
Completely. Because as a child, we, the first 7 years of our life are extremely important. And what happens to us in those years and what we can remember does affect the rest of our life. But I do think it was an interesting point what you said, which is one of the most important things to do, is to acknowledge the challenges of the past. So whatever hurt or traumas we did experience, or any unresolved past experiences, can sometimes produce lasting psychological effects. And in such cases, it is important to come to terms with how your past is affecting your current outlook or habits. And also accept what you cannot change and what happened. You cannot change the past. I think that's something that's extremely important. And, but you can control how you view it.
Yes.
We can control how we look at it. And when you experience anger or sorrow about the past, try to remind yourself that hanging on to these negative emotions only harms you in the end, and no amount of anger will undo what happened. And the last thing as well, I think, I don't know if you would agree, is just to acknowledge your feelings about it.
Definitely.
Yeah, and then look within yourself for compassion. And, you know, I think a lot of us are quite hard on ourselves. You know, I think we're our own worst enemy, and we all have that inner critic on our shoulders.
I think we want to try to kind of hide our feelings and try to have a stiff upper lip.
Yes,
right?
Especially in the UK.
Exactly, yeah. And try to. How is it in Ireland, by the way? How are people's?
Nobody talks about their problems.
Really?
Nobody has problems. Yeah.
Well, Irish people are quite jolly. Is that because they're trying to hide their?
I think so, but I mean,
problems?
there's alcoholism is even higher rate of and it, you know, it's quite big. It's actually bigger than depression in Ireland.
Really?
So I think addiction, I think, you know, that's a form of avoidance. We're not dealing with things.
So exactly, people are not talking about their problems.
Yes,
right.
People
They're
are
probably
avoiding
sinking to alcoholism or
yes,
whatever
exactly. Yeah.
So maybe that's what you're doing. Maybe you are, you know, hiding your problems behind drink or drugs or a lifestyle that you lead. Maybe it's jumping from one relationship to another because you're afraid to be single, right? The thought of being single and alone scares you. So instead of, you know, being alone and dealing with your past issues, once relationship is over, you find someone else and you jump into that relationship with someone else, and you know it's not right, but it's just the fact that you're afraid of being alone. So we want to help you on tonight's program on, you know, moving on from living in your past. If this person wants to contact us tonight, Lisa, how can they go about doing that?
Yes, indeed. If you do want to contact us, you can ring if you're 18 years or over on 020-7686-6300. That's 020-7686-6300. You can also email us at help@findinganswers.tv. You can also follow us on Instagram, Facebook or Twitter if you search for Finding Answers. We'd love to hear from you.
All right, so if you want, pick up the call, give us a call. One of our helpers will be able to assist you in just even having a listening ear, right? If you want to spit out your problems, what you're going through with us tonight. We're going to go for a break now. When we come back, we're going to meet our guest for tonight and his story about living in the past and how it affected him. We'll see you after this.
If you're a single mother suffering from a troubled past, then don't lose hope. There's always someone you can turn to. We understand. With all the challenges of everyday life, the financial responsibility, and the pressure of being a single parent, life can be overwhelming at times. Single parents and their children can flourish, but without the right support, a family can fall apart. The Tamar Group is there for lone parents who need guidance, support and encouragement to get them through their everyday battles. Whether it's a group discussion, a mother and child bonding session or some personal advice, we are here for you. Everyone needs a helping hand at one point or another. Let us be yours. For more information on our meetings and where the nearest Tamar Group is to you, then visit our website uckg.org/Tamar or give us a call on 020 7686 6000.
Do the maths. Changing your life is not as simple as changing your hairstyle, your shirt, or rearranging the furniture in your living room. You're talking about years of deep-rooted habits, behaviours and problems that are not going to change overnight. Many may say, think positively, but the trouble with that is that you can't do or change anything with just thoughts. But add action into the equation and the outcome can be different. Let's do the maths. Positive thinking plus action equals a change. Whatever it is, if the change is significant, If it's worthwhile, then it will have to take time, effort and homework from you.
My Channel TV, featuring a kaleidoscopic daily dose of programming. Stay with us every day and explore politics, economics, science, technology, lifestyle, culture, sports, and much more. We're here to amuse you, to keep you updated, and to keep you company. We're My Channel, your channel on Sky 203.
I used to be a very bubbly person, very sociable, but when I was by myself, I used to feel very empty, lonely, sad. I used to cry and just feel very, very unhappy. I just didn't know why, but I was very unhappy. That made me a very needy person. I thought my happiness would come from someone else. The first long relationship that I had, we had a child together, and I just had to, after 3 years, I had to flee from him because we had a very bad fight. And the second relationship, it was even worse. It was about 8 years of abuse, starting for psychological abuse, then lies, betrayal, unfaithfulness, until it got physical. I was totally depressed because I just couldn't deal with my life. I was really sad. I wanted to end with my life.
There was something about her I liked because she was always bubbly, but then I noticed that with time, she would come in some days and she would be very sad. She wouldn't speak to anyone. As she explained to me what she was going through, and I remember myself coming to the church, using my faith, learning how to overcome my problems and how I overcame them.
She was different from everybody else. She had a different faith, a different kind of advice. So I started wondering, where did she get this from? And that's when I got to know the church.
I was so happy because I knew within me that if she followed up with the advice that she was given, she'd be able to find a solution for her problems.
I learned how to deal with my problems in a different way. I learned how to live by faith. My life today is totally restored. I have control of my life. I know where to stand. I still have problems, but I know how to deal with them. I know how to overcome them. I face them. That's the beauty of it. For me, now, nothing is impossible.
Welcome back to Finding Answers. Now, if you just joined us, tonight's topic is living in the past. And I want to introduce you to my guest for this evening, who will be telling his story about how he was living in the past. His name is David Nzuruba.
Pushing me for the rest of the week, so it's like a boost.
Things were really tight.
Today, the way I see myself is completely different.
David, welcome to the program.
Thank you very much.
Okay, so you had a traumatic incident in your life at a young age where you lost your father, is that right?
I did, yeah, that is right.
How old are you when he passed away?
I was 20 years old.
Okay.
Yes.
And can you say how he passed away? How did it happen?
Well, it was all of a sudden, actually. He wasn't sick at all, to my knowledge, to the knowledge of the rest of my family. He went from here in London because he lived here with myself and the rest of us, and he went back home to where he was born, Nigeria. And all of a sudden, I think in the space of a day or two, he just fell ill and he passed away.
Just like that?
Just like that. Just like that.
So that was a big shock then to the family,
It was a huge shock, because you know, you're there one day. I remember even the day that he left to go to Nigeria. I remember he spoke, because it was myself and my sister in the house, and he told my sister, look after your brother. And he was walking out, and I didn't even bother to get up to hug him or anything, because you just expect, oh,
he'll be back.
He'll be back. You know, he's just gonna go for 3 weeks, you know, do what he has to do there with my mom, and then he's gonna come back. But I never saw him again. That was the last time I ever saw him.
Tell us, when you heard news of his passing, how did you, your sister, your mum, how did you react to it?
So my mum was over there with him at the time. It was myself and my sister, actually my 2 sisters, who were here in London. When we heard the news, actually when I first heard the news, I didn't want to believe it. I did not want to believe it. That I would tell myself, no, it's not true. You know, that is like, it's all just, you know, stories that I'm hearing, because sometimes you get these kind of stories from back home. I've had that in the past, and I said, no, listen, I didn't want to believe. I was in denial, state of denial for, I don't know, can't remember for how long, but it's because it was so shocking and out of nowhere, and so I just thought, no, it's not true, it's not true. Only after I was able to speak to my mum after a while, and she confirmed, she said, you know, David, your dad has passed away. And
how long afterwards did you actually get confirmation from your mum?
Oh, I don't remember how many days it was. I can't remember exactly, to be honest.
So were you like, you know, it was a kind of tense atmosphere, you always worried?
It was tense, because of course, like if everyone's saying it, you're gonna, probably gonna think, okay, it may be true. But at the same time, you're telling yourself, no, it's not true, it's not true, it's not true, it's not true, it's not true.
So when you got that phone call, that news, that it was true?
It was hard to take. I remember, I think it was only then that I started to cry. It's then that you accepted it.
Right.
Like the thoughts, I remember the thoughts flooded my mind, just, you know.
Was there that guilt? That I you know, why didn't I acknowledge him? Why didn't I give him a kiss or a hug or something?
So many things, so many feelings, emotions. I remember I kept saying to myself, I never respected him. I never respected him. I never respected him. That was my biggest
Enough. Pain. I could have done more. Right?
Definitely, because he sacrificed a lot for me, and I'll be the first person to admit that he did, for my family and especially for myself.
Tell us what type of things did your father do for you? Because it sounds like you had a good relationship.
No, we did. I mean, us two personally could have been better. I think he always wanted it to be better, but he did a lot for myself. I went to an independent school in the city of London, the heart of London, and he worked his socks off in order to send me there, and it was a big financial strain on my family. My 2 sisters had to go without so that I could go there. You know, it was hard. I would see him, you know, not sleep for days because he would work day and night. He had 2 jobs, and
it was to pay for your education.
Just to pay for my education, and I could see him getting older so much more quickly, just because of myself, because of the sacrifices he was making for me. I believe he wanted me to do or be what he never was.
Right.
And so, you know, there was that respect. But I never really gave to him, I never really showed to him the respect that he deserved. You know, he would want me to do things with him, and I'd always kind of resist and like reject. And sometimes I could even see that it would hurt him. But, you know, at the time when you're young, you're a teenager, you're not really thinking, you don't really care until something like this happens.
Right.
And then you think, my goodness, what have I done?
You know, if it was, I don't know, if it was an accident or something like that, maybe you could think, all right, you're still sad, but all right, it was an accident. But it was like there was no sign of any illness or anything like that.
It was the shock.
Yeah.
It was the shock. It was horrible. Things that when somebody's sick, you know, because I've had other bereavements in the family. A person is sick for a while, a good few weeks or months even. And then they go, you expect it, you prepare yourself for it. But when it's just like that, it's like, wow.
Was there like I'm using the American word, I forgot the English word, the autopsy. What's the...
I think that's the word. That's the word that I remember.
What did the report of his death, what did it say it was?
It said that it was a full-blown stroke.
Right.
Right. So it's a full-blown stroke. Not, sometimes you get strokes where the person's left, you know, paralyzed on one side or not able to walk properly, etc., etc. But apparently this was
it was just instant like that.
Apparently so. Apparently so. It was a full-blown stroke. And
so,
like that.
You know, after obviously, were you able to go to his funeral at all?
I was. The funeral was a few weeks later.
Was that over here or in Nigeria?
It was back in Nigeria.
Okay.
So myself, my mother, my two sisters, we flew over there.
Mm-hmm.
I think it made it even harder, to be honest. I think it was, the worst part was seeing him. My goodness, seeing him. It was, and like till today, that image, I remember that image in my mind. Mm-hmm. This was a good few years ago it happened.
Yeah.
But till today, it was like, that's not him. That's not it. That's the way he was. It's like, you remember him lively and vibrant, because he was never sick.
Yeah.
Lively and vibrant, and he's there. It's like, David, you have to do this and do this and that. Then you see him the way he was. Oh my goodness, it was. I remember I saw and I had to look away at. It was horrible. But I think the fact that we were over there and all of his family were there, so it made everything more emotional. And there were even a few problems when we went out there to bury him as well. So right. It was a tense kind of few weeks, right. I could say, because we spent a few weeks out there.
So after his death,
mm-hmm.
How did that affect you? Because death mm-hmm. affects everyone in one shape or form. But in your case, it had a deeper effect on you, right? Tell us about that.
I think because the time that he passed away is the time I was 20 years old. I was in my second year of university. And I was doing well. I was doing well, not only at uni, but the things I was doing outside as well, outside of university. It was going well. So, as I was progressing, and I was even thinking to myself, my goodness, it's like I can see myself growing as a person, growing as a man. Then all of a sudden, he passes away. It's like bad news strikes. And I think I didn't realize it at first, but only afterwards, whenever I would try and, do something, or, I don't know, I went back to studying after a while. I took some time out, but I went back to studying, and I'd see myself moving forward or really strive to move forward. Like, the thought would always come to me, like, something bad's gonna happen.
Really?
Something bad's gonna happen. Because...
But you never thought like that before?
No, never. It's only after it happened, and remember that time that you were moving forward, all of a sudden your dad died. Now something's gonna happen to your mum. Or you're gonna get a phone call, all of a sudden your sister's in the hospital. Or honestly, sincerely speaking, that's the thoughts that will come to my mind.
So, his death kind of crippled your view of life or moving forward, the future for you.
Definitely.
So I take it that if anything good took place, it's like, don't enjoy it, because anything could happen.
Yeah, exactly. It's the fear. It's the worry that something.
So tell us some things that happened to you that you kind of cut it short.
What can I say? I'd say a lot with work. With work, things that I would do. Maybe, it was more, not so much that I cut things short, but I would never give my best, my all kind of thing. I'd always hold back.
Right.
And to be honest,
you're on the back foot, basically. You wouldn't throw yourself into something.
I wouldn't give everything, because the fear of, I'm going to give everything. I know that I'm the kind of person, if I decide that I'm going to give everything, I know that I will get results. I know that, I'll be successful. But I would be afraid, but if I do go forward, if I do start, maybe something's going to happen.
So what type of things you're doing? You're at university.
At university.
What other things, you mentioned about other things that you were doing.
Other things,
what were you doing at that time as well?
I was doing some sports at university as well. For me, that was quite serious, right? And I was playing for the university at the time, and I was doing some things outside of uni. Like I was working with young people, trying to help them, mentoring, etc., etc.
Right.
And I was really enjoying it, and things were going well in that as well.
Okay.
And those kind of things were affected, like the way I would deal with them, the way I would be with in those situations when I was working with them. I would always think to myself, no, I can't, really, really excel. Because if I excel, something's going to happen.
So it crippled basically everything that what you're working towards at that time.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
It's fear.
You see how a death in the family affected David's life. And if a death in your family has affected you, the death of a close loved one, maybe it was you losing your job. Now you're redundant. Now, maybe you're in a lesser job, or you're unemployed. You're kind of receiving some sort of benefit, and that confidence that you had, everything that you were going forward for, now that's stopped dead in your tracks, and now you're not the same person. You're not you anymore. If you want help, if you want to move forward, then stay tuned, because after the break, you will hear how David found help. He found help. He's different now. He can never forget the death of his father, but he doesn't think negatively anymore. Is that right?
That's right.
You don't think this way anymore.
No, totally different now.
And you're going to hear, how he was able to change. If you want this help, then stay tuned, okay? We'll be back right after this break.
So, maybe you're thinking about making some big changes or setting some ambitious goals for yourself. Maybe you want to lose 20 pounds or read through the Bible. Maybe you want to run a marathon or repair a broken relationship. Whatever your big goal is, the temptation is to expect to go straight from here to here, or from here to here. The reality is, there are a lot of small steps between big decisions and big results. Challenges and obstacles await. At some point, you might even want to quit. But stand firm. Don't be disappointed with slow progress. Don't be overwhelmed by the destination. Rather, focus on what you can do today. Skip dessert. Read a chapter. Go for a run. Make a phone call. The more difficult the journey, the more rewarding the destination. And it can all start today with just one small step.
The pursuit of happiness. What will make you happy? Success? Fame? New shoes? Financial security? Love? Education? Independence? Family? Sometimes in the pursuit of things we think will bring us happiness, sometimes we fail to see that we aren't happy, or we never find it. We live in a world of people. Rather than pursue things to make you happy, what if we all worked to make each other happy? Wouldn't we all be happier?
Hello and welcome back to Finding Answers, where we're talking about living in the past. But what do you think? Do you live in the past? We sent Christy out to the streets of London to find out.
Definitely depression is probably number one.
They're arguing and they're talking negatively about each other.
What is more valuable than another? And so
you can have as many friends and families as you want. It just depends.
Is a common regret, like, oh, like I should have like asked that person out, or like.
Hi
everyone, it's Krista here on Finding Answers, and tonight's topic is living in the past. Everyone has moments when they do things that they're not really proud of, and when this happens, the best thing to do is just to leave things in the past. However, what do we do when we get stuck in our past? How do we set ourselves free from the pain, guilt, and hurt? Well, let's see what the public have to say. Is it easy to leave negative things in the past, or can you potentially still dwell on it?
I think, yeah, I would tend to dwell on it a bit, I think, yes.
And why do you say that?
Well, you sort of reflect on things and you learn from things, don't you? And, yeah, sometimes you reflect too much on things. You should just leave them behind, but sometimes it's hard.
Yeah, I think things like negative things from the past always kind of stay in your mind, but like you learn to deal with it, I think. Yeah.
Yes,
yeah.
It's difficult sometimes to leave them behind. There are so many things that yes, it's difficult to leave them behind, but that would be the best thing to do, yes.
You can potentially still dwell on things, have regrets. I have regrets. Try not to, but you know, life goes on.
Oh, it's so easy to dwell on it. I think anyone that says that they've forgiven and forgotten is like, that's a half truth. But you got to try. You have to try as hard as you can, I think. It's not a good look to dwell in the past, I don't think.
I think it is easy to leave them in the past, but if you're a singer and a songwriter like myself, it's the negative things that you write most of the songs about, so every day I'm reminding myself about it, you know. But yeah, I think so, yeah.
I always dwell on the past, always, because I always think the past was nicer. But, you know, that's me.
No, I can put anything I like to the back of my mind. And, okay, occasionally it might come forward, but not very often. And I don't dwell on those sort of things, because I think it's just defeating. You will just bring yourself down if you keep doing that.
I think that's true. You have to move on. You can't live in the past. But I don't think there's any harm of occasionally sitting down and reminisce and think, you know, wasn't that lovely? Wasn't that nice when we did this, that and the other? And looking around now, everything is very, very busy. If I go back 20 years ago, it was very calm, very quiet. There's so much traffic here now. We used to live in London, 40 years ago? And, it was busy then, but now it's just very, very busy. And we do often sit down and we think, gosh, it was so much quieter, wasn't it? So, I don't know, you can dwell on the past, but you shouldn't really live in the past. You need to move on, definitely.
Interesting views from the streets of London. But right now in the studio, we are rejoined by David. Good evening, David.
Good evening.
After the death of your father, how did you cope, or indeed did you? And do you think this, put a distance between you living in the past and you living in the present moment?
I'd say I did cope. I think I coped better than my sisters did. Reason being, I decided that I was going to just take my mind off it. So whilst people were at home and they were, thinking about it and mourning, grieving, I decided that I was just going to be busy, really, really busy. I was going to, think about other things, and, I got myself, as I said, I was playing football at the time, so I was really, really, putting all my energy into that, but it just took my mind away from the fact that a tragedy had happened, which is the way I coped, and I'd say that was the way I did it. So.
David, that's the way that you coped?
Yes.
But you didn't find answers in jumping into sports?
No, because it didn't take away the fact that I had lost him.
Tell us then, how did you find help?
Well, there's the spiritual centre that I found out about, or that I knew about, actually. And it was what I understood, hearing, the messages there. I understood.
What type of messages? What did you hear there that helped you with the death of your father in the past?
It was all helping me to understand that, first of all, I don't have to live in the past, and that there's only one thing that, well, nothing needs to control my future, or nothing needs to kind of, dictate my future.
Right.
Apart from the decisions that I make now.
Not even death?
Not even death. Only the decisions that I make now, and the belief that I have inside of me that things will go well.
Right.
I had to stop believing in, what fear was telling me, that something bad is going to happen,
right.
or there's going to be another death, or now you're going to hear that your mum has passed away. I had to stop believing this, and it was only from what I was hearing did I understand that. And when I started to put that into practice, it's like my mentality changed. And that's when things began to move forward.
Tell us, how did faith, how did faith play a part in this? What type of practical things did you have to do? Because, there are people probably like you watching the program who have been stuck for years, and they want to, not be like this anymore. They want to move on, but they can't. So in your case, how much did faith play a part in this?
It was the main thing.
Yeah.
Right. I had to, because faith is to believe. You have a hope, but you really believe that things are going to be good, things are going to be well, things are going to go forward.
Yeah.
That you don't. When you have faith, it completely removes fear. That's one thing I realized.
Faith removes fear.
Yeah, definitely. You can't have two at the same time.
Right.
Can't have two at the same time. So it was faith that helped me to overcome the fear. So instead of me being afraid, no, I'm afraid something bad's going to happen. No, I was sure that something good was going to happen. That if I did apply myself, I would be successful, and the rest of my family would be there to enjoy it, not pass away as my dad.
So tell us something that you heard, something that was told to you, you were advised, that helped you to use your faith and not kind of live in fear anymore.
That, as I said, it's nothing else dictates your future apart from the decisions you make.
Right.
And you need to look forward. You have to look forward, because something, even I remember something that someone said, even the fact that we have eyes, where the position of our eyes, they're at the front of our body, to look forward. And there's a reason for that. It's so that we can, we can look in that direction. And thinking about things like that, I know it sounds kind of like, oh, but it's thinking about things that it's true. It's like there's no point in me thinking about negative things that have happened in the past, and this is going to happen again, and that's going to stop me doing what I want to do. Imagine all the things that I could achieve, and I could be a success I would not be simply because of one incident that happened in the past. It didn't make any sense.
Right.
So I had to start thinking in a way, that made sense. That it's to believe everything that is accomplished that I've ever accomplished was through faith. I had to believe that I could do it and then do it.
Yeah.
So why?
Tell me some practical things you did that maybe people don't know what to do, or maybe they've tried, but maybe without using faith, they weren't able to kind of achieve where you are today, but you did. What kind of practical steps did you have to make?
Something I had to do is I had to stop dwelling on the tragedy. I had to stop thinking about it. Not that I never thought about my dad, because of course he's my dad, you're going to think about him, but I had to stop dwelling on what was happening at the time and how it happened and the sadness of it.
And probably beating yourself up because
you
I didn't spend time with him or hug him.
All of those things. I had to stop thinking about it, because if your mind is still there, you are still there. So I had to decide, I'm going to stop, living in the past.
So if a thought came to you, what would you do?
I would immediately change the subject, of the thoughts of my thinking. I would start thinking about something else.
And it's not that you don't care about your dad.
It isn't like that.
It's protecting yourself. It's not, I don't want to live in the past anymore.
Exactly.
What's happened has happened. I've got to live my life. I've got to move on.
If I was going to think about him, I would think about the good things.
Right.
The good things, like times that we were together, times that, he was really proud of me when I got into university, etc., etc. Like, okay, I have to make sure I do well, graduate, because he would have been really happy, etc. Good things.
Yeah.
Not thinking about the actual incident itself.
In some cultures, speaking about deaths, in some cultures they actually cry when the baby is born, but that's to celebrate when that person passes. Right? In Western culture, it's normally the opposite. You're kind of joyful when the baby is born, But then when the person dies, you know, you mourn and you cry and things like that, right? So how are you today?
Well, today is totally different. Totally different, because I don't think like that. You know, if you always hear this famous saying here, if you change the way you think, you change your life. It's very, very true. Very, very true. A lot of people are stuck in their past because they think in their past. So because I learned to start thinking forward, looking forward and thinking that I can be successful, I can do well, and nothing bad's going to happen.
There's no fear anymore.
No fear at all.
Okay.
No fear at all.
David, thank you for coming and sharing your story with us.
No problem.
Right? Now, David said it was through faith, right? A belief in God that helped him move forward. He's no longer stuck anymore. If you want to stop living in your past, then we've only got a few minutes left after the break. We will be going for the prayer. If you want to be involved in this, you know, don't worry about the prayer. Just think, I want to move forward in my life. Doesn't matter how it's done. If you say, I'm fed up with my past, I want to move forward. The way we do it is not important, but you want to be involved. Then after the break, you're going to join us for the prayer. We'll see you after this.
This is your UCKG timetable. We are open 7 days a week, helping you to make a new beginning. Monday, a meeting focused on achieving more in your financial life. Tuesday, prayers for healing. Wednesday, a meeting teaching you to develop in your spiritual life. Thursday, a special prayer for the family. Friday, a service for your spiritual deliverance. Saturday, Find the One, a service specifically tailored for your love life. Sunday, Reconnect with God, the main meeting for your spiritual strength.
Uplifting.
Exciting.
Diverse.
Informative.
Courageous.
Bold.
Passionate.
Powerful.
Follow My Channel's updates on Facebook. Like your favourite videos and see pictures of your favourite artists. Access our Twitter @MyChannelUK and get to know what's on with My Channel. Visit tvmychannel.com and be connected to our world. My Channel, a whole new world of entertainment.
Welcome back to Finding Answers. Now, you still have time to call in and speak to one of our advisors if your past has been dictating your future. And as usual, we will go for the prayer now. Now, before we do, God, He is not a God who lives in the past. He is a God of the present and the future. We can't change anything about what's happened. You can't change anything about what's happened to your life, but you definitely can do something today. And maybe right now is the start of that change in your life. So if you want to join us for the prayer, get your glass of water ready, because I'll be praying for you, for God, through faith, to help you move forward. It's time for prayer.
Prepare now for the moment of prayer. If you would like us to make a prayer for your health and general well-being, send your name and prayer request to help@findinganswers.tv.
Father, in the name of your Son, Jesus Christ, I enter into your holy presence with this viewer, my God. This person who has been touched by David's story. This person who maybe has lost a close family or friend. This person who has faced a problem in their past. A situation, Lord, where it has affected them so deeply. This person has been abused in some way. They were mistreated in some way. This person who has lost confidence in themselves. They lost their job, they were made redundant. This person who was told that they have an illness, and that illness has been crippling them. And so, Lord, when they look in the mirror, they're not the same person anymore. My God, there are so many things that can lead a person to live in their past. But I pray, my God, just as David said, we have a pair of eyes in the front of our head for us to look forward. And you said in the Bible, your words say, we shouldn't look to the left or to the right, but straight ahead. In other words, we should keep on going. We should keep on striving, moving forward. And even if this person has tried to move forward, but hasn't believed in themselves or believed in you, that is why we are praying tonight, my God. We are involving you. So I ask you, help this person who has been feeling suicidal. This person who has suicidal thoughts. They are depressed. This person is stuck in life, my God. Help them to be unstuck. Help them to start believing in themselves. And help them, my God, to believe now in you. That you can help them when they call on you. My God, help this viewer. Help this person to stop dwelling on the past. Even though thoughts may come, but give them the strength to move forward. This is what I pray, my God, in the name of the Lord Jesus Christ. I bless this glass of water you hold in your hands, and as you drink it, I pray that God will help you remove the negative thoughts and to receive strength to think of your positive future. In Jesus' name. Drink this water now and be blessed. So, there you have it, right? Your life, what did you say, David? Your life today is a reflection. What was the comment that you said?
Faith gets rid of fear.
Okay, that one as well. So, that wasn't the one I was talking about, but right. Yeah, faith gets rid of fear, right? If you want your life to change and be positive, then you can call upon God. You can speak to Him at any moment, any time of the day. You don't need to wait for a program like this. You don't need to wait for a friend or someone you can confide in. God is always there to listen to you, okay? So I believe as David's life has changed, yours is starting to change from tonight. Until the next time, have a wonderful evening. God bless you.